Hello there, this is Dave Allen. I'm Good and Geeky and I'm looking at Affinity Designer and I want to see about what we can do with some guides. So let's just put that up in the centre there. So up in the top right hand corner we've got a button with a magnet on there. If we click on that we've got a few options. Just click on it and we get the snapping occurring. If you do the little drop down there you'll see that it says enable snapping and we've got some snapping options as well. Turn it off completely if you want to, turn it back on again. And we've got only snap to visible layers. We've got snap to grid, snap to baseline grid, snap to spread, snap to margins. I haven't got any margin turned on at the moment, but we can do that later. And a number of possibilities. So let's click on done. Next to the one with the magnet, there's one that looks like a screen wiper thing. Click on that there. We can go to the guide settings, and those settings will fly out from the right hand side. In the Mac version of this, you've got the rulers and you can drag things out of the rulers. But with this here, what you have to do is, there's two buttons at the top. The first one is for a horizontal guide and the second one is for a vertical guide. Click on those and you'll get what you want placed in the centre of the screen. If you want to move these around, you can do. So I'm going to get this here and maybe I want it up there instead. And then I can put another one down and it puts it out in the middle again. So I can bring this down here. And then if I want to have more vertical ones, I can put this here. I've actually tapped it twice now. So I'm going to move one over this way and I'm going to move the other one over this way. So that's 3 vertical ones that I've got there now. So the one where I tapped originally and then 2 extras where I tapped twice. So as you can see, when I tap on it with the Apple Pencil, start moving around, it changes to a dashed and dotted line. And it goes red as well, and you can see exactly where it's going to go there. If you want to specify exactly where it's going to go to, start putting some numbers into this box here. Let's just put it at 150 for the moment. That's close to the centre, so 150. Click on OK. So that's close to the centre. If I want to have one exactly in the centre without having to put the numbers in there, I'll just tap that there. So that's a way to get the guides in there. We got the guides, so let's put some shapes in there and test out some of the snapping features. So with an ellipse shape, it's snapped to that one in the centre there, and it was far enough away from that guide that's in the middle of those 2 blocks there, and it didn't do any snapping there. If I get a bit closer into this one here, if I've got a move tool, then I can make it snap to that there. And now I'll grab the top handle and move it up towards the guide at the top and make it snap. And same with going down to the bottom of it as well. Then what you can do is you can go to the node editing tool. I can drag out a node and make that select, go to these guidelines. So if I tap on one of these nodes, I'll be able to see the handles, and those handles will also snap to the guidelines. I can go to this one here and I can have it so the handles will snap to these lines. So I can bring this out here and now it's snapped to the guideline. So you can start making some really nice shapes with this here using these snapping tools. Let's go back up to the screen wiper button and go into the guide settings. Then I can set this up so that we've got columns. At the moment I've got set here for, let's do 2 columns by 3 rows. Okay, so let's tap on that there to have it showing. And you see now that I've got the columns and rows. Let's just get rid of those other things. I've got this other thing here. Get rid of that for the moment. And what I'll do as well is I'll get rid of those other guides. So if we go back into the guide settings, there's a button there, a square with an X in it. Click on that and we get rid of all the guides. And what I can do is I can have it so that these guides will snap to the column guides. So let's put one in here. So I've got this here, I'm going to select it and start moving it, and it has snapped to the column guide. So that's kind of useful, so you can say exactly what your columns are going to be and then put some extra guides in there if you want to get rid of the column guides afterwards. You can say how much of a gutter you want in between these there as well. At the moment it's set for 3mm, so I can make it smaller and make it larger. So that's with a 10mm there. Or 9.9. You can have margins as well. Now here are our margins. At the moment it's set for a left margin of 25mm, so let's make a left of around about 10. And then this one here, let's make this exactly 10. So put 10 in there. Have that set up exactly as you need it for your design or a document that you're working on, so where you want that margins to be. And I think I should have it so that I can have it snapped to the margins as well if I want to. Let's just check this here. Let's go to snapping options, and I'll have it snapped to margins. Click on done. So we've got margins here. If I've got a circle and I want it to snap to the margins, that will snap to the margins and keep it within the space that I've suggested that it should be in. So that's kind of good too. Now, one thing I noticed is that, say we've got this one here, and let's put a do Command J to duplicate it and bring that over here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the two of them. So do a marquee select around the two of those things there. If I want to put a warp onto this, if I go to the Layers panel and then do warp, let's go to warp and go for, say, a perspective warp. This here is not snapping to the grid. So the snappings do not work when you are in the warping thing. So it doesn't matter how much I move this close to these lines here, the guidelines, or to the, let's put a guideline there just to show you exactly. So let's go back into this here, go to guide settings, and we'll put a guide in there in the middle. Let's go back in a bit closer so we can get a bit closer and see it a bit better. So now if I go back into my warp thing as well, so if I don't warp this now, it's not snapping to that guideline, just the same as it wasn't snapping to the margins either. Okay. It might do if I change this to convert to curves. So I'll convert to curves, so that's the warping finished. So now if I go back into the snapping end of things, let's grab that. And so that will snap, because now that is not anything to do with warping. So okay, so that's a little bit of a dive into setting up some guidelines and some grids and your snapping options, and go and have some fun with it. This is Dave Allen for Good and Geeky. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye now. If you haven't done already, don't forget that's a good idea to subscribe to the channel so you can see when there's new episodes coming up. You'll get a notification if you hit that bell icon as well.